sometimes we get so caught up thinking that our children should be like all emotionally stable all the time, or they should understand everything all the time.
Or just be able to handle something exactly as well as another child can.
Right. Because the personalities are different.
Hello, everyone. We are Greg and Jacquie Francis, and welcome to High Performance Parenting, where our passionate goal is to encourage you to raise champion children in a crazy world. Every week, we will bring you multiple episodes from our extensive experience of raising our six happy, healthy, successful, godly kids who are confidently equipped to win big in life.
We deeply believe that any parent who is provided with the right knowledge and continual support can raise amazing kids. And when they do, all of our futures get better. If raising up future generations of absolute champions matters to you as much as it does to us, here's how you can contribute. Like and share this podcast with everyone you know. And together, let's embrace this journey of raising champion kids in a crazy world. Okay, we're back. We're going to continue this conversation about being able to navigate some of these different scenarios with our kids, going through situations that could potentially put pressure on them, and how we do some work to try to take pressure off. One thing I thought maybe we could talk about a little bit is just how recently our daughter Chrissy had really let herself get a little bit of, I think, behind on some of her schoolwork, and she was putting a lot of pressure on herself to try to do things like way too perfect. And what it was doing was just slowing her down a lot. And then things would get backed up, and then it added more pressure. And then they get more backed up, added more pressure, So you want to talk through how we handled that?
Yeah, I think it's a great example because it goes for anybody who has kids in school right now, really. And we're kind of talking about a child here who is, such an amazing, child. She is smart and intelligent and loving and kind, loves her family, loves the Lord, just loves her siblings so well, is such a giver, just a loving, kind kid of ours.
Yep.
And so when she's starting to put, the new school year started, right? So we had just come off of a really fun summer, a really great opportunity to just get back into schedules and stuff like that. And actually, she was fighting them. She wasn't ready to kind of get back on track with the schedule.
Yep.
And it was time. It was so time. It was obvious around our house that it was time to kind of get back in the schedule. And so a lot of times we do a lot of prep work, whether it's, leading up to when school's going to start. We put the schedule back on the fridge. We kind of go over what it's going to look like. We chat a lot about what, the new year's going to bring and that kind of stuff, because I think it's really important to keep kids informed on what the expectation is for them for the year so they don't just get confused thinking they didn't know. And so we did a lot of that. And then school started, and she just really was, first of all, probably not super into it at first, but knowing that she had to get it done. So then if she's going to get it done, she's one of those kids that's like, well, I got to do it the best I ever could. Everything, read everything, study everything, apply everything. It's got to be 100% or it's not good enough type thing. And so she was putting that pressure, and for, most kids, they were getting their homework done in 3 hours or something like that, all their subjects, whatever it was taking her like 2 days.
Right.
And I kept coming in asking her, like, what's going on? Like, what's going on? She's like, well, I just didn't really understand this topic, or I didn't understand this, what they were explaining here. I just, and I was like, yes, you did. Yes, you know this stuff. This is a review actually right now. You know this stuff. But she just kept putting pressure on herself that it had to be done a certain way.
Yeah.
And so with that came her getting behind.
Yep.
Which caused a whole new level of stress because her siblings were moving forward and she was not there yet.
Yeah.
And some of our subjects that we teach at our house, several of them do it together. So she can't really afford to be way behind because we're moving on regardless.
Right.
And it wasn't because she couldn't move on. It was almost like a mental block that she thought she shouldn't move on because she didn't get an A or whatever it was on that subject. And, just a little background, Greg and I, our philosophy isn't that the kids have to get A's in everything at all. No, like that is not
we don't teach it at all, really.
Our philosophy whatsoever. We really just feel like get what you need to get out of it and let's move on to the next topic because you're a smart child. You got this. We got this type thing. So needless to say, as she got behind, I think she just got really frustrated with herself and started almost forgetting who she was.
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit of a loop that happens, right? First, it's a little pressure. Then it's like that added pressure makes it harder, I think, for her to even think clearly where she even puts more pressure then. And then she gets even more behind it, or she starts making more mistakes. Then she feels like she has to work harder. And it just like gets this loop going when she's in that. And before you know it, she's not even acting like herself anymore, because she's a super smart kid. I mean, like when we do Bible Jeopardy and stuff, I mean, everybody has to go against her. Like it's the whole family against her because she has such a great mind and she's so quick-witted, but she's comfortable in that scenario and she doesn't have pressure on her and she can just go for it. But when she gets in a loop like this, it's just part of her personality that, she just tends to put pressure on herself. Like she tends to go towards almost like a perfectionism kind of thing if it's not metered, by us, really, right? She still is only 13. And sometimes you want to treat them like they're 25 or 30 or something. But the reality is she's still figuring out how to handle pressure. She doesn't fully know how to handle pressure. And there's new levels of pressure being introduced to her every year right now. I mean, we just moved, new house, new friends, new church, new schedule,
new sports,
new dynamics just in your physical body. With the age that she is, new dynamics with siblings getting older too.
Yeah, I think a lot of it first, is when it first happened, trying to be understanding again. We go back to our normal thing where we try to hear our kids, what's going on? Like, explain to me what's happening. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I mean, endless conversations where we had her and me talking alone. It was just like, tell me what's really going on. Tell me what you're really feeling. Tell me why you feel this way. Yeah. Conversations where it's not me, telling her how she's supposed to be feeling or telling her how to behave or how she should be acting, more hearing from her what she thinks is going on. And not just belittling it, not making it sound like the pressure she has are like, that's all you got to worry about. That's all. And that's how you think you can behave. Yeah. Like sometimes we get so caught up thinking that our children should be like, all emotionally stable all the time, or they should understand everything all the time.
Or just be able to handle something exactly as well as another child can.
Right. Because the personalities are different. Even what's going on in their life is different, even though we're all in the same home. And we're all thinking things differently sometimes. And so I think that was the first handful of conversations.
You take other kids and their personality is so different. It could be like, Drew's could be like, oh, I forgot 3 sections? Sheesh. Like he's just such a different personality type. It's like, I'll figure that out later. Right. So anyways, so you sat down and you kind of just really tried to find out what was going on. Cause we could tell she was starting to act a little different. She gets like that when she gets a little bit like she acts different all day, meaning not like mean or rude or anything like that. She gets a little distant. She gets a little more quiet. She's a little less engaging just because you can tell she's got stress on her. And so then you kept asking her what's going on and you'd think, well, that would just handle it because mom was just, such a perfect listener, but it didn't really handle it at first, right? Then you had to talk to me and say, well, you should really get involved in this. We talked about it because you didn't feel like you were getting it as far as you thought you could get, correct? Mm-hmm. And then it turned into, okay, we both had some conversations and we could tell she was in a beating herself up mode, which was making it hard for her to kind of snap out of this a little bit. But then it just came down to, all right, here's how we can take pressure off, right? This is what, and most of you came up with this. We talked through it a little bit together, but it was, let's start putting on some timers for getting some stuff done, because otherwise she gets stuck in her loop. She's reviewing, she's over-reviewing, she's trying to get it 100. And we just said, you have this much time to finish this topic. And we don't even care how much you got done. We don't even care how right it is, but you're moving on, right?
Mm-hmm. That's what happened.
And what else did you do?
Well, I think a lot of it was like, of course, putting the boundaries up for her instead of allowing her to have her own boundaries. Mm-hmm. From now on, it was, well, I looked at what the subject would take, and then therefore that's, like you said, that's the time you get.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the encouragement from her siblings. She has such fabulous family here that support her and love her and encourage her and don't make fun of her or pick on her or make her feel belittled for her situation that she's in. And
because we've taught them that.
And her, Abby specifically took a lot of time to make sure that she encouraged her that she got this, and that, that answer was good and it was a good answer. So you don't have to redo it or you don't need to worry about it or that, Mom, I just want to let you know, Mom said you have about 10 more minutes. You know what I mean? It was never in a mean way, but it was in an encouraging, loving way. And then everybody just started speaking and loving over her. Mm-hmm. That was the biggest thing too, is, reminding her of who she was and that, God doesn't expect perfection.
Right.
And perfection is not, that does not make you more closer to him. That does not make you a better person. That does not make you, the smartest person or anything like that. That's something that sometimes we allow ourselves to believe are going to help us get to some level in life that we think is important. Mm-hmm. And so we started breaking up just some of her day, and stopping putting the pressure on of certain subjects. Not that she didn't have to get it done, because she did. We all have to get work done. Mm-hmm. Just because you're going through something doesn't mean you can't get your work done.
Right.
We didn't sit there and say, well, because she's having stress with school right now, we probably should just stop school. Everyone just stop school. No, that's not an option here at our house. We have to fight through this kind of stuff. We have to grow and change from it, and then we can be better afterwards.
Yep.
And so that's what we did for her. We allowed her, to have those boundaries put up for her because she needed them. Yeah. And after, oh my gosh, breaking up and changing just some of the places that she was working, or changing the way she was working, or changing the different thought process.
And I think the big part of this, though, that I think is really important is that, they're a bit, sometimes when we're helping coach our kids through some things or getting stuck on things, we do try to push them to take responsibility to fix it on their own. Like come up with a new plan that you can get through this, that you can start. But then if it doesn't work and it's add more, we don't sit there and say, well, there's just something wrong with our kid or something. It's like, you know what? Maybe she just needs a little bit more direction. So if she can't handle that part right now on her own, then it isn't a big deal. We'll handle it for her. In other words, here's the boundary. Here's the setup. Here's kind of how this is going to work. And like you said, even they're all in a room together. And when she's got pressure on her, and she has a tendency sometimes to just beat herself up about stuff. She'll just like look around the room, then she almost feels like she cheated because she looked at somebody else's screen. And we're like, okay, well, let's just change that environment too. So that way you don't have to even think about that, And so she's in different rooms where she's not distracted. Nobody else is, tap her on the shoulder or doing anything else that's distracting. She's getting timers put on to get things done, and we stick to it, and that really helped a lot, didn't it?
Well, it did. And what was awesome about it is, here's the funny part, is we put the timers on and she got amazing grades. Not that we care about the grade itself, but here she was concerned that she needed to take, let's say, 2 hours for one subject, and we gave her an hour or something like that. Right. She got the same grades. Right. If we'd given her 2 hours.
She'd probably get the same grade if we gave her 30 minutes.
And so literally,
she's really smart.
She just realized that I'm the one putting this limit on my ability right now. I got to be okay with the fact that good is done.
Yeah.
Not perfection, but good is done.
Right.
And now, oh my gosh, it's been a week of change in her. And I just want to encourage you, if you're going through changes with your kids, you're probably thinking, oh, it only took you a week. I will tell you, it was a long week. It was one of those, it might have been 2 weeks for all I know, but it was a long 2 weeks. I think most moms can sit there, and after you've had numerous conversations with your kids, you go back to your room and you're like, I think that was the conversation. I think that was the change. I think it's good. And then you wake up, and at 7 a.m., before you know it, you're stuck in the same conversation again with your kid. And you're like, I don't know how many days of this I can go through this. This is and on top of that, other avenues are happening in our life. I'm still running businesses. I'm still doing podcasts. I'm still a mother to 5 other kids. I'm still doing what I need to do with you and all of our commitments. I'm still
the world doesn't stop.
It doesn't stop and you might be sitting there thinking the same thing. I need to stop my whole world so I can go help her whole world. But that's not always the case. I think that we all just need to understand that there's seasons to stuff, and you have to keep going at it from different angles, and you have to keep praying about it, and you need enough of the right backing to know that you're doing the right thing. And if you don't have your support, person, if husband, this is why I talk about all the time, is husband and wives being on the same page, because even if one of you are doing maybe the majority of the conversation with the kids, the other one though can be encouraging the other kids. The other one can be encouraging you that you're doing a good job. The other one can be praying for you so that the words come out well for when you have that next conversation. The other one can come behind you and say, hey, your mom was just in here working with you, or your dad was in here working with you. Let's listen to what they said. They had a good idea.
Yeah.
Let's finish up what they said. And if you have a question, to not put that child in a position to, question who's supporting who.
Yeah, and it's the whole philosophy that, again, these are God's kids, and our job is to help them become the healthiest version that God intended them to be. So if Abby's helping kind of watching some of the time frames as an extension of us, It's not her being a tattletale or a narc.
No.
It's her actually genuinely caring about the same thing we're caring about. She knows that Chrissy has has special giftings and purpose in her life, and so we're just helping all that come to light. We're helping it all get worked through. There's I'll tell you, there's things that can pop in your mind. You can be like, man, why is the adversary attacking my family so much? Why is the adversary attacking Chrissy right now? And I'm not saying that's something that's not happening, but there's also a practicality of like, okay, what are the things that we can work on here? What Holy Spirit, what kind of wisdom can you give us? And that's where we start coming up with these ideas like, all right, let's separate her out from the kids for a little bit while during that time. Let's put the timer on. It's all Holy Spirit led instruction.
Well, of course. I mean, because everything we do for our kids is first asking God, is this what you suggest for us? Instead of what do I just think? And I think when you do that, then, like I said, you fast forward 2 weeks later into this. I mean, it's like, are the boundaries still there? Yeah, they still are. They're still there.
But she's so happy.
But she's happy
She's
with
like
the
a
boundaries.
different kid.
Like, do I still say, hey, we're wrapping this up? Yes, I am. You know what I mean? Or when we are finishing up some of our tutoring calls, it's like, okay, you have blank more time to get this done. And after that, we're shutting it down for the night. We are shutting everything down. We have other things we need to accomplish. And so we are moving on. And I think just knowing that and accepting that, oh, so this is what they're asking of me. I'm going to follow what they asked of me. I don't have to think any bigger than that. Right. I just simplified her whole life. Yeah. And I think we all can take that into account. Sometimes things are going on so big in our life. Right. Can we just simplify? Can we just say, I'm going to block off this and I'm going to give it my all for this. And then I'm going to shut it down. Yeah. And I'm going to do it again the next day. Yeah. Taking that energy and giving that structure and then her being able to live within that structure is so helpful to her. It takes so much pressure off her not having to figure out what the structure should be. No questions. And then the cool neat part is that next thing that comes up, she'll come to me. Hey, we got this new project. How long do you think I should take on this? Well, let me evaluate what the project is. Let's look it over. Let's come up with a logical amount of time, and then we're shutting it down. And she was like, sounds great. Thanks, Mom. And like you said, it's so neat to see that, not that everything's perfect. Like I said, we went through a week of questioning, but it's more the fact that there is a solution. The solution isn't to give up. The solution is to figure out what the Holy Spirit's telling you to do next and start applying it. Right on. Yeah. Nice job, Mom. Thanks, Dad.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for listening and thanks for your love and support. We hope that today's episode added tremendous value to you and your family. It would mean so much to us if you would partner with us on our mission of helping parents around the globe raise champion children in this crazy world.
To do so, simply take a moment to like and share this podcast with everyone in your network. And we have great news. You get more of us. You can expect new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings. So be sure to consistently tune in with us and enjoy our show. See you next time.